Well, so we have that Supreme Court decision today where the Supreme Court of the United States has decided to hear the Prop 8 case from California, and they want to hear the DOMA case from New York, I think that is. And so, well, a lot of gay people, gay bloggers, and like Joe Jervis. Like, if anybody will actually listen to Joe Jervis, like, who the fuck is he? You know what I'm saying? I mean, he's always been wrong on this. I mean, he was the one, and not only him, but a lot of other gay bloggers going around town saying that, oh my god, this case is unwinnable, it's impossible, it's blah 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 blah. And there were people who were saying things like, oh, Ted Olson, who's a Republican, is involved to somehow stymie the thing or sabotage it. I mean, all these wild theories, conspiracy theories, were coming out of the Joe Jervis, Joe My God camp. Oh, it wasn't him, but his ilk. But he was the leader of the pack. He was standing up there saying, "Oh, we can do this," and other gay groups were like, "Yeah, this is too early. This is look, we'll give it a shot. If we win, we win. If we don't, then we don't. Might as well just take a risk. Might as well just go for it. You'll never know what's going to happen. You'll never know. Maybe they are going to rule that gay marriage is legal throughout the country. We don't know. But I have my instincts on this. I may be wrong, but I'm basing my predictions on the simple facts. The fact is, you have Ted Olson, conservative Republican, not really a reactionary, but he's there. I mean, he's a conservative Republican, and he's been very helpful in this cause, and we appreciate that. But you're gonna have to look at his astounding resume. I mean, this guy, he was behind Citizens United. You know how people, liberals, and everybody hated that ruling. Actually, it didn't really help the Republicans win the election. But that was their pride and joy for the Republican Party. You know, all these Republicans were like, yeah, we needed Citizens United, blah, blah, blah. So, Citizens United. The lead attorney in that case was Ted Olson. Ted Olson was who is the leader and the leading attorney. People say, well, he's working with David Boies. Well, David Boies is there to help him. I mean, he makes these other opinions about the case. But what I see is that Ted Olson is the lead attorney for the Prop 8 case. And I'll just say that he's doing a really good job. And I think you and I, the gay community, we're lucky to have Ted Olson as a power attorney on our side, as opposed to the other side. I mean, they have what? Paul Clement? Who the fuck is that guy? And, yeah, I checked him out. That guy has not a very astounding record. He lost Obamacare at the Supreme Court. And so, but that's for the DOMA cases. That guy's gonna lose, definitely. I mean, you know why he's in it, right? He's in it for the fucking money. I mean, that's what it is. But look at fucking not David Boies, Ted Olson. Look at fucking Ted Olson. This guy, I mean, he makes good money, obviously, of this case, but Ted Olson, this guy, unlike Paul Clement or David Boies or this guy is actually pretty well connected with some of these judges. I mean, he's really connected. I mean, he was the Solicitor General for George W. Bush. He basically told Bush to appoint Justice Roberts. Roberts and Ted Olson are pretty good buddies, as far as I know. He's also friends with Alito, but not much. He's also friends with Kennedy, and he's okay with Scalia, but not as much. What I'm saying is that Ted Olson was very smart in a way that he looked at Obamacare. Even though he might say he disagrees with it, he never actually, that I recall, because I try to get some homework done on this guy and see exactly what he thinks about other cases, because that's where I really come from. I want to see what this guy's thinking, what his roadmap is, what the hell is his plan, his MO for getting Prop 8 overruled. And for me, it's pretty simple. You look at what he's thinking, and this guy, I think it was on, I don't know, Fox News, I'm not sure where he came out, but he wasn't that very supportive of the legal challenges to the Obamacare. Ted Olson said that he didn't feel strong about the case, the Obamacare legal challenge. And he stated, the obvious legal reasons. But this guy, Ted Olson, he knows his shit. I would trust him on this particular situation. Now, I would not be surprised if the court rules that Prop 8 is actually constitutional. I wouldn't be surprised. But I'm betting my money that we are going to win. I mean, it's going to be simple as that. My prediction is that with Prop 8, they're going to fight it out. They're going to duke it out. It's going to be, the typical liberal justices versus Kennedy and Roberts. They're trying to get Roberts on this side. That's what I'm guessing, and that's what I would say I'm 95% sure that Roberts looked at this case, both cases, and said, you know what? I need to really just look at this. That's what justices do. And I think Justice Roberts, the Chief Justice, doesn't want to look like a right-wing, reactionary Republican justice. He's the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court. He wants to have some sort of respectable legacy when he leaves this planet. Look back at the Warren Court or the what's the other guy's name? Rehnquist. Yeah, those legacies were not what we call astounding legacies. So Roberts is really, what I say, Roberts did not want to intervene with Obamacare. The reason why is because he will be viewed as, this court took away medical benefits for the poor and for the uninsured, which is what Obamacare is supposed to do, even though in the other side of the coin of Obamacare, you have the bailout for the health insurance companies, and the health insurance companies get their share, and they get their cut, and this was a hideous, really stupid plan that Obama, he had to cave in to the Republicans and basically adopt this plan, but it went through though. It went through the court, and my take on this, and it's a very instinctive take, is that Justice Roberts, looked at this as like how he did with Obamacare, and he said, do I want to be remembered as a justice that took away medical benefits, because that's how he's going to be remembered in the history books? Am I going to be the one? Because it doesn't matter if it was Scalia, or it was Thomas, or it was one of the other rats of the court. Roberts, Alito, Thomas, Scalia, rats. The historians are not going to look back and say, well, it was, Scalia that led. They look at the Chief Justice because they, in history, we judge the court. I don't know if it's justly or unjustly. We judge the court with the name attached by the Chief Justice name. I mean, like how we go with the Warren Court or the Rehnquist Court. What is the Roberts Court? So he doesn't want to be remembered as that. But here he's doing the same thing. He's looking at this and saying, I don't want to be remembered as somebody that stopped gay rights for gay people. And he doesn't want to remember. He doesn't want to be remembered like that. And a lot of gay activists are saying, well, Roberts, he's a devil. I'm not saying he's a devil or he's a reactionary, although he has done some reactionary things in the court. But there are instances in which Roberts really says, you know what, I'm not going to side with Scalia or with Alito on this. I'm not going to, really fuck things up for people. So that is why I think they took so long to debate this. I mean, you can imagine the back and forth during these conferences, which of course nobody is allowed to attend, but the justices, not even the secretaries or the clerks, are allowed to be in there. So, but I could imagine, my take is that, Roberts, he wanted he wanted a free pass on this. He wanted, he wanted to look at the case, and that's what they're doing. He wants to find a reasonable way to get something done, but not get, not be looked as an activist judge or something like that by the fundamentalists, something like that. But he's trying to have like a wild card, He's trying to find a way to say, look, if I cannot reach a verdict, there's a way that I have to get out of this. And that's why they have that other question. And each of the cases, by the way, I wasn't that, well, actually, I was a little bit shocked when I heard that on the DOMA case, they're asking a question whether BLAG, which is the House Republicans, whether they have a standing on the issue. And I'm like, yeah, they do, actually. They do have a standing because they're they might not be the executive branch, but they are indeed the legislature. And we have history and we have a lot of other legal proceedings where the legislatures, members of the legislature, like the president of the Senate or something, will come out and support or will defend the law whenever the attorney general or the governor or the president doesn't want to do that. But I don't know. But we have another thing here is that that Prop 8 also has that same escape route of this emergency, what I call an emergency exit. And with this emergency exit, Roberts can say, you know what, I try to find something with these cases. I don't want to go too much. I don't want to say gay marriage in Alabama. Okay? And I don't know how I can really attach this case to anything else, maybe Evans, but all I can say is maybe instead of trying to write an opinion that might be case law later on or might be setting a precedent, what I will do is I'm going to defer this. I'm going to kick the can further down the road. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to say you have no standing. The gays will be able to have they'll be able to get married in California. And we're not going to rule on anything big. We're not going to say, yes, there is a constitutional right, or no, there isn't. we're just going to say, you know what, the proponents of Prop 8 don't have any legal standing. In fact, that would be the most likely case in which Roberts and probably even Kennedy might take. In that case, they can throw the whole damn thing out of court, and that's the end of that. And then gay people can get married in California. It will be a cop-out, but nonetheless, something will be done about that, because then gay people can be actually married in California. That's probably the likely case because, personally, I think the proponents don't have legal standing. If you look at other cases like, what is it? Arizonans for English, I think it was. I don't remember that case. Well, proponents of a particular marriage, that wasn't a marriage, it was a constitutional amendment for the state of Arizona, in which they wanted to have only English. And so what they were saying is, I think it was struck down by the Arizona Supreme Court, and the proponents wanted to go to the Supreme Court and to basically appeal the case. But the Supreme Court, I think it was Justice Ginsburg, if I remember correctly, said that these people don't have standing, and it was thrown out for other reasons. But I guess the consensus is that proponents of initiatives don't have legal standing to appeal or to stand in for the state to respond to a lawsuit. It's pretty ridiculous, if you ask me, if anybody from the citizenry can actually, on behalf of the state and on behalf of you and me, unelectable, unaccountable for anything, can represent the state in court and do all these things and file briefs and do all that. I mean, you might say, Jose, but shouldn't the Prop 8 be defended or something? And I say, well, yeah, but if the governor or if the attorney general doesn't want to defend the matter, then you can impeach that person. Or, in fact, if I remember correctly, in 2010, California had an election. Not that long ago, they elected a governor and an attorney general, both of whom say they told the public that they're not going to defend Prop 8 in court. And so the electorate had an opportunity to say, hey, no, this is very important. We're going to have a governor and an attorney general that would actually defend this in court. They didn't make that a priority. They overwhelmingly voted for the governor, Jerry Brown, and then they elected that state attorney general. I think there was a tight race or something like that. But the voters could have made that an issue. And I think some people did make that an issue. Oh no, we shouldn't elect for these people because they're going to slide on this marriage issue. But they didn't. They voted for for these people, and that's how it is. They don't want to defend the Prop 8 in court. If that is a problem, then recall them, California, but that won't happen, obviously, because the people might have voted for Proposition 8, but the people of California, the voters, also are not that interested in defending it in court. Because if that were the case, California has a very, a very open-ended recall process where at any time, for any reason, any of the state officials can be recalled. So that's what people don't seem to understand. Because I get all these messages and emails of these right-wing reactionaries saying, oh, but the governor now vetoed the Proposition 8 because he doesn't want to defend it. And I'm like, no. The people of California voted for a governor that vetoed it, if you want to see it that way. Okay? Alright. But there you go. That's my analysis. I think that it's going to be a very intense moment. But like I always say, this is not the only avenue. You know, a lot of these people, like on the Joe Jervis blog, fucking Joe Jervis, Joe, my God, he's blabbering and fear mongering and saying, "Oh no, I don't feel safe about this. It's not gonna be good that Supreme Court is going to take on the Prop 8 case." Who the fuck are you? I mean, look, you have the Ted Olson is one of the best attorneys in the country. He has connections with some of these justices, and he would not fight for this case. In fact, he wanted the case to go all the way to the Supreme Court. This is his big chance now. And of course, he's going to be tied historically to this case. So if he wins, his legacy will be depending on it, in many ways. You got to look at these people: Ted Olson, uh, Chief Justice Roberts, Kennedy. You're gonna have to look at these people like human beings. And we human beings, there's a way we look at these things. We always look out not only for other people, but we try to look out for ourselves. I mean, we're trying to impress other people and protect our image, protect our legacy. And, that's very important for a lot of people. So my prediction is that I think Doma is going to be thrown out. It's going to be overruled by the court. I think that would be a very. I think that's where Roberts is probably going to. I think uh, make a very interesting decision. If not, we'll just get a 5-4. It doesn't matter. I mean, look, all we need is 5 votes. And then on the Prop 8 case, we're gonna get probably another 5-4. And or it's gonna be thrown out. Most likely, I think it's gonna be thrown out. I think so, because they're going to establish. I mean, what they're gonna do now. I mean, if this Proposition 8 case, if they throw it out because proponents don't have standing, that means that the court will now take official precedent and stance. So that on standing on Article 3 standing, as it's called. If proponents of an initiative have a right to defend the constitutionality of a initiative, and that's a two-way street there. That's a double-edged sword, because what if we have something that we do on our side? If we have a proposition, let's say in Oregon or somewhere, and we pass it through the voters, and then some right-wing reactionary nut, gets a court ruling, and that would definitely annul or overrule the will of the people. And then the reactionary governor of such state, which I'm looking at is probably Ohio, Indiana, or something like that, they decide, no, we're not going to defend this gay marriage law. We're going to be in trouble there too, if that is the precedent that we set. But I guess that's where we're headed. And of course, I believe that it's pretty much Article 3 of the Constitution, which is pretty clear that for those of you that are appealing a case, you're going to have a reason why you appeal. And you have to be the actual party of the appeal. That means that for you to have standing to appeal a case, that means that that the actual outcome of the case will in fact affect you and will make you do something. For instance, the state of California, which would be the Attorney General, the governor, and the county clerk, will have to issue and recognize these gay marriage licenses. The proponents of the initiative do not have to do that. They don't. By law, they don't do that. So that's where the Article 3 standing issue becomes, an issue. But that's my prediction. I think we are going to be successful on this. I think that's what's going to happen. That's my gut feeling right now. I mean, it might change depending on things that I see. And people are getting paranoid. They're freaking out over this. And there's nothing to really freak out. I mean, there's some gays out there just saying, "Oh, it's the end of the world." It's not. If by any chance the Supreme Court rules against us and upheld Proposition 8, which is the one that's most vulnerable in the eyes of many people, I would say, so what? Some people say, "Oh, it's because we argue all the time that marriage is a constitutional right, blah, blah, blah." And actually, no. That's actually not really a good argument. If you go to the people, to the voters of any state to get gay marriage passed, or to the legislatures of the state, I mean, that's an argument that you deal with when you go to court, not when you try to persuade people, because then you get into these arguments of what is constitutional, and you get into the interpretation of the 14th Amendment, and all of the, this legal mumbo jumbo. To a lot of people, they don't really understand it, and they don't really care about it. So if you look at all the campaign ads that we had for gay marriage during the election in the 4 states, we didn't talk about fucking constitutional rights and 14th Amendment due process. We didn't talk about it because people don't really listen to that shit. Okay? What did we say during those campaign ads and the literature that we had? That we were, all these campaign video ads, these online video ads, all these viral videos. What did we talk about? We talked about commitment, relationships, sometimes equal treatment and equality, but that's kind of, whatever. But we talked about commitment, that marriage is about commitment. And that we have 2 consenting adults who are not related to each other, who are not children, who are not animals or anything like that. So don't come up with the bestiality bullshit or the polygamy dumbass Mormon reactionary typical response. This is about reality. So we focus on that, and we won those 4 states because we focused on those things. We didn't talk about constitutionality. In fact, the Supreme Court of the United States of America has not ruled yet on those issues of constitutionality. Sorry. My Mexican genes are coming in. I'm sorry. I mean, we didn't. That's not what the Supreme Court has stated yet. Until such day happens, and then we'll say, because if we can say, the day that we can say that gay marriage is a constitutional right, there is no debate anymore, because if it's a constitutional right and the Supreme Court has ruled on that, then gay marriage is legal everywhere in the United States, including Puerto Rico and other territories. You get that? So until then, we cannot really say that. That's not really a good argument. We can say, it's my opinion that it's a constitutional right. That's a whole different story. Because people are whining and saying, "Oh, if we lose, we cannot tell people it's a constitutional right." Well, we haven't even won anything yet, so how can you tell people that it's a constitutional right? I don't really get that argument. Please, fucking get a fucking grip. I mean, these people, some of these gay liberal activists are just, they don't get it, do they? They don't really fucking get it. It's way beyond now. It's way beyond you. And I know a lot of people today, a lot of gay people want to get married. But it seems to me that most of these activists are just trying to get it through. They're trying to get it legalized somehow, and they want to do it now so they can see this. And I think we should stop looking at it that way. But what we need is patience and perseverance and persistence. What we need to do is look, we might lose this. Sure, I'm willing to accept that. And everybody in the gay community who's worried about this, yeah, it's a reality. Face it, we might lose. Somebody has to lose this case. Somebody's going to prevail as victorious and as a winner, and somebody else is going to lose. That's how these things work. But that shouldn't deter you from trying to battle it out. It's just, you're going to have to take a risk. That's how things work. You go at it, you go at it, you go at it. Just like we tried to declare sodomy laws unconstitutional. And we tried to do that with Hardwick. That's another case that nobody talks about, by the way. Hardwick. The constitutionality of sodomy laws. And that was I think that was a Warren court. Was it Warren? I think it was. It was in the 80s. Or was that somebody else? I forgot. But it was in the 80s, and the Supreme Court, it was 83, I think it was, 1983. Supreme Court said, you know what, it's perfectly constitutional. But then, 20 years later, the Supreme Court reversed itself and said, in Lawrence versus Texas, no. And that can happen. Just focus on the overall goal here. We are going to have generations of gay people in the future. What we're doing here is we're trying to build we're trying to put together the building blocks for the generation of gay people to come. Let's stop thinking about us, me, right now, and let's focus on the long-term goals. This is an issue that's not going to go away overnight. Even if we win, you think the American Family Association, the Family Research Council, you think they're going to say, okay, they won, it's over, we'll just shut up and close shop? You're mistaken. They're going to be galvanized, they're going to be re-energized. That's going to happen. But then it's going to die down a few years later because their real pet peeve is actually Roe versus Wade. That's their real pet peeve here. Gay marriage, abortion, two issues that are very, very different. People know that. I know a lot of people who support gay rights and gay marriage, but they don't support abortion. They don't support Roe versus Wade, and that's how it is. The people, because it's two different issues. I think that if we have a Roe versus Wade of the gay community, gay marriage, I don't think it's going to leave a bad taste in anybody's mouth. Oh, for a few people, yes, like Tony Perkins, that CIA operative. Yeah, of course he's going to get to have a fit, and all these social conservatives and reactionaries and Dixiecrats, they're going to get all the, they're going to have a fit. They're going to have a giant orgasm of total disgruntled, reactionary, foaming at the mouth, homophobic tantrums. You're going to see these reactionaries just going overboard, going berserk if the Supreme Court says that there's a constitutional right for gay marriage. But it's not going to be the same as abortion. It's not. And so, once people see what gay marriage is about in all the states of this country, you're going to see a huge shift of opinion on this issue. I would say that if the Supreme Court tomorrow's Saturday, but on Monday, comes out and says, we think that there's a constitutional right for gay marriage in every state and every territory, within a couple of weeks, We are going to see polls after polls, even the Pew polls, the PPP, even that stupid Gallup poll. They're all going to point to more than, I would say, more than 2/3, 63, 65, 66% of the American people will now support gay marriage because they will see what it really is. Because 1/3 of this population is homophobic. I know that for a fact. The others are just either they're reluctant, or they're not sure, or they're being fear mongered by this 1/3 of reactionaries and secessionists and all these other stupid whack jobs. But just be patient. Don't try to get all galvanized and try to get all upset. It's actually a good thing that the Supreme Court took the. I see all these people. Oh my God, this is hideous. It's gonna blow up in their faces. Like, no, it's not. What's the worst that can happen? Say no. So what if they say no? Yeah, because they could have. Well, I mean, they can say no. They can say, Prop A is constitutional. Then what? Well, you go to the voters and you repeal it. Supposedly, what I heard is that the majority of Californians are now ready to repeal it. As long as you keep the Mormons and the reactionaries out of the way. I mean, that's what we need to do. But you can do California, you can do Oregon, you can do Illinois, you can do all these other states. And there are plenty of states that we can play with. And, legalize gay marriage there. And then we go back to the court if you choose to. And I think that would be appropriate as well, to go back to the court within like 15 years, I will say. And then go back and try to reverse that decision. Because we will see a more liberal court. We will see that because Obama is going to appoint at least 2 more justices. And that's what's going to happen. Definitely, that's what's going to happen. So there you have it. Shut up. Don't be overreacting about this. We are going to do this. It is going to be done, but it's not going to be done overnight. It's not going to be done in a couple of weeks. Because, a lot of gay guys think that this issue, that this scenario is like what? It's like having a hookup, with another guy. It's like you're going to a fucking club and getting a hookup, And I hate those kind of guys that you try to hook up with. They want to have sex now. They want to get out of the club now. It's barely 10 o'clock. They meet you. You're drinking, you're having a good time, and then it's 10:30, 11 o'clock, and you're just getting started. The evening just started. But then these guys, they're fucking horny, and they're like, let's go to the car, let's go to the motel and have sex. I'm like, patience. Can you enjoy it even? I mean, and I've been with guys that, all they want to do is get off. All they want to do is, put their dicks in my mouth, And then within a couple of minutes, they're done, it's over. And then they go back. Like, don't you try to enjoy sex? Don't you want to enjoy it? I mean, why are people these days so fucking impatient? Except for really urgent things, but with everything else, they want it now. Impatient as fuck. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, just sit back and enjoy the show. Get some popcorn, some tea, or whatever you drink. Take your shoes off, maybe your pants off. I mean, that's what I do when I watch television. Take off my pants and lounge around in my tidy whities. Who? I mean, sit back and relax. What's your fucking problem? You know, I mean, what's your problem? And people are like, oh, oh no, this can happen. And they all listen to, yeah, because they listen to people like Joe Jervis, a dumbass who's always been wrong, by the way. That guy has always been wrong. He's not an attorney. He hasn't argued cases before the Supreme Court. He's not barred at the Supreme Court. So who is this guy? You know, I mean, or these other guys, you know, these bloggers. I don't listen to bloggers when I try to make up my mind as to what's going to happen. I do my research. I read case law. That's very boring, but I do read a lot of these cases. I read the briefs from Ted Olson, from everybody else. I read all of Ted Olson's other cases. I know what the hell's going on with this guy. This guy is hell of a smart. You may not like what he does, and with these other cases like Citizens United, but this guy knows what he's doing. I'm pretty sure he's gonna pull it off. And you know, there's a good chance that it may not happen, but there is a very, very, very good chance that he might. I mean, that's what I'm saying. And it's not that I'm being hopeful. I'm not. You know, this is not about hope. Fuck that. That was 2008. You know, with the hope be changing and all that bullshit from the Obama camp. This is about reality. Okay. This is about policy. This is about changing people's minds. This is about getting the votes. This is about getting, you know, the young people who support gay marriage. Get them to vote. I mean, get them out there to vote. You know, yeah, we do need to change the system. We need to have a lot of reform. But to start doing all those things, we need to get the young people to vote and get them interested, not only, you know, not about politics, in their own fucking destiny. You know, what's going to happen to them in 30, 40 years ahead? People need to start thinking about what's ahead, not just what's going on now. If we lose the Supreme Court, so what? We'll come back next time. We'll do it again and again until we get the right decision. Just like what we did in Maine. Exactly the same. We lost in 2009. We came back 3 years later. We won. There you go. Simple as that. People say, no, we shouldn't vote on this. I don't care. You might have your ideology. You might think, you know, you're fanatical to your fucking ideology. That's great. That's good. But it's not going to get gay marriage legalized. It's not going to get food on the table. It's not going to protect gay couples and their kids from being discriminated and getting the protections and the benefits that they need. Let me tell you this. All of you, Joe my God, airheads. Let me tell you this. Or ask you maybe, I don't know. Well, let me just state this for a second. Saying that people shouldn't vote for gay marriage, how does that help gay couples? How does that help them? How does that help them get a marriage license and have their rights protected and their economic rights upheld? How do we protect those rights? By saying that the voting public shouldn't be. I understand the argument. That's purely ideology. That is pure ideology, fanatical ideology. It has nothing to do with gay rights, nothing to do with getting things done. It's all about being a purist, and I don't believe in that. If that's your take, you know what? Then what you should do is open up a think tank. Sit around and think and do nothing. And yell and scream and become like those reactionary Republicans. Talking about being a purist and all that bullshit. And that's why that fucking Neanderthal reactionary fascist dement. That's why he retired from the Senate, because he was too much of a purist. He fucked up his own political party. Do you know what happens when you become a fanatical ideologue? You lose. You become I don't know, a mouthpiece. You're basically handicapped. You can't do nothing. You're just sitting there mouthing off. I mean, that's what I see with all these gay activists out there. Like, they just sit there and they mouth off all day, every day. They mouth off. That's not right. That's not the cause. We shouldn't vote on gay marriage. It's a civil rights. Shouldn't be voted on. Let me tell you this. If Martin Luther King, and I know a lot of people like to quote this guy, unfortunately, because I think MLK has been, I think overused, because the homophobes, they like to use Martin Luther King. But let me just use him for once. Probably the only time I'm going to use him on this show. Because I believe, and my mother has always taught me, leave the dead alone. They rest in peace. You can remember them, and you can do this, but don't use them for your own selfish needs. And that's correct. My mother's pretty smart, by the way. She might be a little bit naive in certain things, but she's pretty smart. And I will quote Martin Luther King. Not really quote him. Actually, I'm not going to quote him. How about this? Martin Luther King. Do you think if in Mississippi, let's say Mississippi, or Alabama, let's say Alabama somehow had a shift and a total 180 opinion about having black people sit at the front of the bus. And they took a couple of polls, and they found that 60% of the voters of Alabama supported a law that will ban discrimination based on race and public accommodations, including the buses and all that shit. What do you think MLK would have said? Oh, no. Let's not let them vote. This is a civil rights issue, and they shouldn't vote on civil rights. You must be out of your mind if you think MLK would actually believe that crap. MLK would say, good, let's get them to vote. It doesn't matter if it's the voters, if it's the courts. Get it done. Get it done. And you might say, Jose, the minority should not have their rights be voted upon by the majority. That happens all the time. It happened in just this election that we had. The majority, the 98% voted, I wouldn't say 98%, but people of the 98% voted for Obama, voted for all these Democrats to hopefully tax the 2% a little bit more. The majority voted on the rights of a minority. That's a very good example right there. They voted to take away a little bit more from the 2%, and I don't mind that. That's fine. We can do that. I don't really care. Yes, but there's other ways we can create more revenue, and that will include a Wall Street sales tax. But being that's taxation, and I'm talking about something else, we always do that all the time. We vote on the rights of a minority. We vote on whether or not prisoners will get this, and prisoners are minorities. I can go on and on and on as examples when we voted on the rights of a minority. That's not really a good argument. What we should say is, let's not vote on this issue when it's not constitutional. That's a better argument to say than to say, well, you cannot vote on it. Never. That's not. If the people vote constitutionally, then we can uphold that vote. If the people of California reverse Proposition 8 and repeal it, of course, that's constitutional. There's not going to be any argument against that. So let them vote against that. Let them repeal it. Let the voters repeal Proposition 8. And we can do that. And if we go to states and we try to get the voters to, to approve gay marriage, and some of those states say no, okay, we'll do it again. We do it again and again and again and again. We come back and we come back. History is on our side. I mean, I do believe that. So if history is on our side, what's the point? Well, I mean, what's the worry? I mean, what's the holdup? Let's just go to the voters and get it done. We do it again and again until the voters finally gave up and vote for gay marriage. And then once we have the majority of the states, if we actually put our mind and our resources and our energies towards this, I mean, instead of with other bullshit, partisan politics or supporting the Democrats or any of these other distractions, we can pull it off. And then we go back to the Supreme Court and say, hey, you know what? Just like in Lawrence versus Texas, this is how it is. The majority of these states have legalized gay marriage. There's a huge shift. There's a growing consensus. That's another legal term. It's been used widely at the Supreme Court, and you might win. Actually, you will win by then. Actually, yeah, that will be true. But my gut feeling is that this particular situation, we will win. We will prevail. I'm not sure if it's going to be a, declare gay marriage a constitutional right throughout the whole country. I'm not sure if that's going to happen, but I'm damn sure that for the most part, at least, California will be able to issue marriage licenses again, and that will be a good thing. I mean, that's what I believe. So, anyway, relax, take it easy, enjoy the ride, and we'll do it again and again and again. And while we are waiting for this decision, there are many things we have to work on right now. The lame duck session, making sure that there are no cuts to benefits and other entitlements. And also we have to look out for other things too during these few months. We're looking at Illinois, we're looking at Minnesota. Look at those states, okay? And, there are other things that we have to worry about as well, within the community and outside. Everybody's zoomed in on this case. Like if it's the end all and be all. Like, there's going to be more ample time. If we lose it on this case, we'll do it again. It's that simple. Okay? But my hunch is that we're going to win. That's what I believe.